Now, after celebrating our country's independence, we're sharing a different kind of victory: freedom from cancer. 83-year-old veteran pilot Mark Daniels is once again soaring through the skies after surviving lymphoma not once, but twice, thanks to cutting-edge treatment and a team of healthcare heroes at Hackensack Meridian's John Theurer Cancer Center. When Mark's cancer returned, he was ready to stop treatment, but that all changed when he met Dr. Andre Goy, one of the nation's leading cancer specialists, with what is called CAR T-cell therapy, a breakthrough form of personalized immunotherapy, which is apparently the future of cancer treatment. Mark is now, God bless him, cancer-free. He's back in the pilot seat at his young age. Dr. Andre Goy, we welcome you. And Mark is joining us on the phone. Dr. Goy is on video, so just so that people aren't confused if they hear a disembodied voice, he's not talking to us from heaven, not yet. He's still very, very much alive and on this earth, thanks to some great treatment from Dr. Goy. Welcome to the two of you. Good to have you on today.
Good morning. Thank you for having us on and shedding light on the most transformative therapy in cancer over the last over 3 decades.
It really is amazing. And doctor, we're going to come to you to explain how this type of immunotherapy works, because it basically, well, I'm not going to go into it. I'll let you talk. I only know the outline of it. You obviously can tell us in detail. Let's first just talk to Mark, who's on the phone. Mark, you've flown fighter jets. You've been tens of thousands of feet above the ground going at the speed of sound. You've been on all sorts of commercial aircraft as well that you've flown, but this latest chapter of your life has been a much more challenging journey. When your lymphoma reappeared, you were considering even going to hospice. What changed your mind?
Well, the Dr. Gua is probably a 1 in a million individuals. Intelligent, compassionate, caring. I can't say enough about what a terrific person he is. He's the type of individual, he's obviously very successful in his chosen line of work, but he's the kind of person that when you meet them, you know he would be successful at anything he chose to do. And I had that feeling when he cured my first cancer bout. And then when the second one came along, I went to a hospital up here in North Jersey, and I got the feeling that things weren't going to be so good. So I had my son take me down to see Dr. Gua again, and he worked his magic. He's terrific.
But if I may, Mark, that also has a lot to do with your will, because a lot of people give up. They give up hope, and a lot of that has to do with your will to live, right? Don't you think that because some treatments aren't all a bowl of cherries. There's a little sickness that's involved and everything else, but at the end there is a light at the end of the tunnel. So you have to have that mental commitment, don't you?
Yeah, I guess that's true, although I feel as if that's giving me more credit than I would say. If I had to break it down, I should get 5% of the credit, and Dr. Gua and all the people down there should get 95, because you talked about a light at the end of the tunnel. That's true, but it's only part of the answer. You have to believe that the other person at the end of the tunnel is going to turn the flashlight on.
Right. And you know what, based on that, now we have Dr. Gua here. And doctor, please forgive me for mispronouncing your name as Goy. It's spelled G-O-Y, but pronounced, is it French? I'm assuming. So je parle français too as well. So I'm so sorry that I mispronounced it. Let's talk about immunotherapy, and let's talk about how this CAR T immunotherapy, how this works. This basically is that it trains your own cells to go after the cancer cells and destroy them as if they were like a bacterial invader in your body.
Yeah, and before I explain in a minute, I want to say that Mark is over generous, and I think this attitude and the fact that he's in very good shape and very active helps enormously for treatment in cancer. In immunotherapy, what's fascinating is that we are under an incredible era in cancer that's going to continue to accelerate and change. So we have the ability to take the cells of the immune system, to modify them in laboratory, to grow them so that they can recognize cancer cells, lymphoma cells here, and actually reinfuse to the patient, and 70-90% of the patient respond. But what's amazing in a situation where patient would have no option in a refractory aggressive lymphoma that has failed standard therapies, and you have 30 to 40% of patients who have long-term remission, and a vast number of these patients being cured. So this is the first time that in this setting we have something that can actually talk about cure without having to use a bone marrow transplant, which would have been very difficult in someone, in a younger age of Mark.
And from just talking about this, I've had friends, a friend of mine had lymphoma multiple times, multiple recurrences. And something I only learned from her, and she's not with us now, unfortunately, because we didn't have immunotherapy was in its infancy when she passed. But one thing that I only learned from her is that with each successive chemotherapy treatment, doesn't it get more and more difficult because whatever surviving cancer cells stay in your body from the last time, they're more aggressive and kind of live longer, if you will. That's the way she explained it to me. Am I off by that?
No, you're right, Ken. I mean, you kill the good guys, if you want to call it this way, and the other cells come back and become chemorefractory. And that's exactly the situation of Mark, that had a very aggressive disease, not doing well with standard therapy. And the traditional treatment is much higher dose of chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant, which would not be really feasible in that setting. The beauty of CAR T cell is that not only it's a one and done treatment, but you can actually do it in someone who is 80 plus years old. And Mark is a great example of having recovered remarkably. We know well how to manage the side effects, and potentially this is a real option for a cure in those patients.
That's amazing because I know that in many cases, doctor, correct me if I'm wrong, that the treatment can sometimes kill the patient, right? With aggressive chemotherapies you're talking about as it has to get escalated with each recurrence of cancer. And then you have to make the decision, is it worth attempting to kill this person, or do we just let nature take its course and maybe they'll have 5 or 6 months to spend with their family? So that's really what you are up against. But you're saying that immunotherapy like this is much less damaging to the body.
Immunotherapy is transforming cancer, as you just mentioned previously, across the board, liquid tumors, solid tumors. But in aggressive lymphomas and leukemias, where the disease goes pretty fast, catching up with the bone marrow transplant, even in the younger patient, that makes it difficult. So the goal is to bring this immunotherapy, particularly CAR T cell, early on, when the cells of the immune system have not been hit by multi-layers of chemotherapy and cycles of chemotherapy, and have what's called a better immune fitness. So this
And
is
if
a
I may,
better response in those patients.
I'm sorry to step on you, doctor. If I may,
Sure.
when we say CAR T cell, so it's the T cells which are the building blocks of cells, right? So you train them to be basically soldiers to go after the cancer. Is that how that works?
Yep. You take the cells of the immune system, the lymphocyte from the blood, like you would do for blood donation. We collect the cells, select the cells, modify them in laboratory so that they can recognize the cancer cells, sort of force them, right? And then grow them and reinfuse them. The beauty of this is that this is a one and done treatment. We give this patient one therapy, and having up to 40% of the patient potentially cured, I think this is quite remarkable. I'm very grateful that we have a fantastic team. We are leader in cell therapy, grateful that HMH Vision and supporting us to push innovation forward.
That's amazing. And Mark, I'm sorry to keep you on hold like this. I have to ask you, first of all, how are you feeling today?
Terrific.
Wow. I mean, just compare psychologically when you found out you had a recurrence of cancer to where you are today mentally. Just give us a kind of a go through what it was like when you realized, oh my God, the cancer's back, and then that feeling versus now.
Well, you get a second chance, or a third, in my case, third, fourth, or fifth chance. It's when you get to be my age and you've had all the good luck that I have had in my life. I, you can't live forever and you can't have everything. So you accept your fate. And I was ready, I, I've had a good life. I've been lucky. And again, I was ready to accept it. Dr. Gua basically said, "Oh no, we're going to fix this." And I believe them. I mean, the guy is fantastic. Everybody should be as lucky as I was and have a person like Dr. Gua. And and just like baseball players, just like TV actors, anything, there's a range of people. He is at the top of his chosen profession. Having
Well, let's
said
let
that,
yes, go ahead.
I was just going to say that he has a lot of support staff. I don't know if he's trained them. I don't know if he beats them on the weekends or what, but they are some of the nicest, caring people. And through all of my time, I've come in contact with over 100 nurses and staff at Hackensack, and not a single one of them they treated me like their grandfather.
I love it.
And just nice and competent. And you
I
can't
love it.
beat that as a team.
And Mark, let me
Mark,
just say, you sound like you're about 45 years old. You don't sound anywhere near what your age is. If I were to hear your voice on the radio, I think you're about 45, 50 at most. So it says it's another level of your mental state of mind, if you will, that you are so positive. And with the few minutes we have left, Doctor, I need to come to you. What if somebody gets a diagnosis? Not everybody everywhere in the country is so lucky to have Dr. Gua. Is this therapy now making the rounds at hospitals and universities around the country?
just want to say that Mark is way too kind in his words, but we have a fantastic team, and this would not be possible without the team and the support that we have. And they're all very dedicated. There's many of centers in the country where this therapy now is commercially accessible, available. What is actually an important point, Ken, is that for our colleagues and the patients and the audience, is that when someone has an aggressive lymphoma, leukemia, or the cancer, is to make sure to have as much possible, opinions and understanding of what's happening, and also for our colleagues, physicians in the community, to refer patient early so that we can get access to those cell therapy when they have the highest chance to have a long-term outcome. So I think this is a really exciting time. And I think to conclude, I would say that immunotherapy has changed cancer already, and this is going to be the backbone of cancer moving forward for sure.
Amen. Amen to that. Well, Mark Daniels, I think you are on this earth to be the evangelist for this therapy, because there's a reason God lets things happen. And I think that might be very well the reason. And continued good health to you. May you outlive every one of us, Mark. And Dr. Gua, thank you, Dr. Andre Gua, for being so innovative and using your investigative tools and studies to help advance cancer research and treatment. May we get to the day where we don't even have to talk about this anymore, God willing. Best of health, best of luck, and thank you for coming on and sharing this amazing story this morning to both of you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well.